like two peas in a pod kind of thing, because I sell the houses and then you help people move from A to Z kind of thing, and that could be frustrating for people, but you guys really do a great job at making that a smooth transition for my clients, so I appreciate that. Greetings, red tie community. It's the bald guy in the red tie, John Butler, your favorite bald-headed red tie wearing realtor and red tie community show host, with a very smiley person, a very important person. And you might not recognize them at first until we start talking about the black and yellow trucks, because if you've been anywhere in the Temecula Valley, you have seen these trucks because they are always on the move. We're talking about John Ruff with Ruff and Ready. That's a tongue twister, man.
Yeah.
Ruff and Ready Moving, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to finally get you in the studio.
Yeah. We've been trying to do this for about a year now.
Yeah.
We finally got it done.
The stars aligned, the calendar dates lined up, and here we are, man. But,
right.
I'm a busy man, but I am not as busy as you, because you are constantly on the move with these moving trucks. How many trucks do you have nowadays?
We have 11.
11
and
trucks.
5 trailers.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Man. And so if you've been in this area, you've probably seen the black and yellow logo, as you probably see on his shirt there. And so I'm a branding guy, and your branding is phenomenal. Like, it sticks out. You could see that truck coming a mile away, man. So can you jump into that real quick about how you came up with the branding?
So when I started this company, I researched what colors stick out the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 3 different colors on top of black. It was neon orange, neon green, and canary yellow. And I said, well, I'm not going to do orange or green or neon pink.
Yeah.
I said, so the canary yellow it is. And I mean, it just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Really does.
You know, billboards we have in the community, everything, trucks, it just pops your eye. It catches your attention.
Well, I love the play on words, because your last name is Ruff.
Yeah.
And so typically with movers, you don't want a rough transition. But I like the humor of it. So that was well played, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Wouldn't be the first time, man. I've had probably over 200 people tell me that I can't have that name in a moving company. And I'm like, it's my last name. So
doing it anyways.
Tough luck.
Well, sometimes when you're creating something, and if you get some headwind against it, that's usually a good sign that maybe that is a good path.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
you
when
got to ignore those naysayers, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, because when I started Ball Guy Red Tie, the older vets of the real estate industry are like, that's not very professional. You know what I mean? And they just thought it was kind of cartoonish and whatnot. And here I am 12 years later. So here we go.
Well, you're killing it, man.
Thanks,
I see
dude.
you everywhere. You've been doing videos for a long time, and one of the most creative realtors I've met.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're definitely going to clip that up and use that as an ad. But I appreciate that, man. And that's really I wanted to sit here with you today, is because I really appreciate when someone can go through the minutia of climbing a mountain to create your own thing. Because in this world, you can certainly get a safe job. You can clock in 9 to 5 and do that kind of employment. And that's fine. That's great. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. But for the people that say, hey, I'm going to step out and do my own thing, it takes a lot of courage, man. It's like jumping on a ship and saying, okay, I'm going to sail to wherever the coastline is, and I don't know where the coastline is, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
It takes a little something extra to do that.
It does. I mean, we're in the 3% of the country. The other 97% works for us.
Wow.
And it's that initial fear factor and the fear of the unknown that really deters people away and not getting those instant results. And I mean, for me, I crave to be uncomfortable because that's how I grow, and what I fear the most is fear of regret. Fear of sitting there, and I have a nephew coming into the world here in May, and telling my nephew, well, I can't buy you that because I was too scared to do this, or being 80 years old sitting in a nursing home regretting all the things in my life I wish I would have done.
Yeah.
I'd rather do them, fail, take everything from me, I'll build it again.
Yeah.
But at least I tried, and I said I did it.
And that's one of the telltale signs of an entrepreneur is, all right, this might end badly, and this might explode and implode, but you know what? I can rebuild it.
Yeah.
And when you have that sense of strength, that inner core within you, whether that comes from God or just your past experiences, man, that's an unstoppable person.
Yeah, it comes from God. It really does.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the person you become in the whole process, man, because you get stronger and stronger as you go. The way I say you become more tolerant to bullshit because it's like a diamond being made, man. Starts as coal, and the more pressure and pressure and pressure gets put on you,
That's right.
and then you eventually shine.
Yep.
And it doesn't get easier. People think, oh, you got more money coming in, you got more employees, more trucks. There's more headaches with that. It's actually harder. Now you have to, instead of just throwing everything back into the business, you have to be smart about it.
Yep.
You have to scale, you have to cut stuff back. You have to work around things. And that's really where you push the needle forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great philosopher once said, "Mo money, mo problems." Notorious B.I.G. So, so let's rewind a little bit here. So you didn't wake up one day and you were just a mover and the CEO of a moving company. You actually had some humble beginnings. So take us back to those days.
Yeah. I mean, raised by two great, hardworking parents. I mean, they came from a rough childhood. I mean, my mom's dad was an alcoholic, and then her mom, my grandma, had to work 3 jobs to cover that. And then my dad lost his mom at a very young age at 13, came out here on his own at 13 from New York, from Long Island, and they had to work. And that work ethic, through what they learned from their childhood and having to do that, really, I learned growing up and saw them do it. And that's why I have the work ethic I have today. You have to work.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Keep your head down and keep pushing.
Yeah. And when I first met you a couple years ago, that's exactly the vibe that I got from you, is that you're like the bull in the china shop. You're like, here I am, I'm doing this, so like me or not, here we're doing this. I'm like, well, okay, man, welcome to the industry.
Yeah,
You know?
no kid, little did I know what I was getting myself into, right?
I respect you a lot, but I don't envy you, because I'm like, oh man, you do that. I don't want any part of that moving stuff, man. That's tough work.
Oh yeah, that's one of the hardest jobs you could possibly do on this earth, I think.
Yeah.
You know, day in, day out, and I did it. I worked for other moving companies, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, it was lost my train of thought. Going back to my parents, that work ethic. I worked for Costco Wholesale for 6.5 years. I opened their Lake Elsinore store in 2005, got my full time, and that is where I really learned strategies of how to treat my people in a business. Costco treats your people better than anybody else.
Interesting.
And so I'm like, you treat your people good, they do good work for you, make your customers happy. And that's really the secret to treating your people well.
Yeah.
And having a successful business. Yeah.
Well, and so many people are so quick to try to burn their employees, or, get the whip across their back and whatnot. But that doesn't go very far. It's a short-term strategy, because A, they get resentful, they get burnt out, they can't, keep going that way. So do we need to pause? You guys want to come in?
Come on in, guys.
You okay?
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I can edit it out. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Very well, thanks.
I'm just gonna do the inspection.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Do
Thank
you
you.
need us to move or get up?
No,
Or?
I just need to look around.
Okay.
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 Like 1 minute.
There's a lot of things to look
I
at.
think we left off at the employee thing.
The employee thing.
Okay, so we'll pick up after that. Didn't she inspect your place?
No.
That was a different one. Okay. No problem.
Don't be sorry. You're okay.
You're good.
Whoops.
Everything gets unplugged out of here when we're out of here too. So
Okay. So that tension is not like always there.
no,
No. Okay.
no, it's just because we're running a show and it's never unoccupied.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
All right. I'm talking about employees.
Didn't write anything down. I think we're good.
Of all the places in this office, this is the one that Susan was probably
I
like,
was in here for an hour yesterday, just going through, making sure that didn't just blatantly look,
like a fire hazard waiting out.
Yeah.
All these lights, cameras, cables, yeah.
Okay, where were you guys at?
Talking about employees.
Okay.
You kind of.
Costco treats everybody so well, and that was where you got your work ethic and how to treat your employees.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And then I was talking about don't be a bad boss. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. On the flip side, when you can actually take care of your employees and they feel appreciated, they're willing to do more for you and for the clients. And when the clients feel that sense of appreciation, it creates this boomerang effect, right? It just comes back. What's the old saying? If you make a customer happy, they'll tell 5 people, but you make them unhappy, they'll tell 100 people.
Yeah,
Well, in social
exactly.
media, that's amplified tremendously.
Yeah, social media can build up and destroy a business within 5 seconds today.
Really can. And I don't know if you saw that post a couple weeks ago about a realtor that he was going through a Costco parking lot and cut off a lady or something like that. And so he had some choice words for her. And this lady blasted all over social media. And I don't know what happened on the end of it, but when you got 500 comments and everyone's ready to tar and feather you, it's like, ooh, that's not good for business.
Yeah,
So
it hits you right in the gut.
behave yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So your employees seem to like you were just talking about. You really have set up a good system within Ruff and Ready to treat your employees well.
Yeah. So after I worked for Costco, I actually studied to get my real estate license, believe it or not.
Nice.
I took my allied schools. I came back. I was too broke to take the test. I didn't have the $360 or $365. I don't know if it's more now. So I started moving furniture for a moving company. And they're actually one of them, who's my competition today still. And we've well surpassed him. And he started shorting my checks. $13 one week, next week $27, next week $36. I said, screw this. Yeah. And so really I started this company out of anger and wanting to run a company that treats their employees right and their customers right. And that's how this was born. And really that fire inside of me, I had no idea what this was going to become.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to do some side moving jobs, make some quick money, then I was going to find a career and go do something, right?
Yeah.
And little did I know that was God stirring up this passion inside of me.
That's good.
To make this company.
Nothing goes further than a sense of injustice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That fuels the soul. When you see employers taking advantage of people and stuff like that, that definitely births new industries and businesses because you see the negative way of doing things, and so you can offer that positive counterbalance.
Yeah. And I mean, people go, who would have thought a moving company could grow that fast, right? Well, when you're in an industry that's full of crooks and shady people, and if you do the right thing, treat your people right, treat your customers right, it's easy to succeed. Oh, it's not easy, excuse me, but it's easier.
Yeah. Well, and people can really sense that when your guiding principle is to make sure that your client or whoever is in front of you and you're taking care of them, they get that sense, and that's what creates that word of mouth. And word of mouth is more powerful than anything in this world.
Still the best form of advertising, and it's the oldest.
Well, you can have all the billboards in the world, but if you're known as the jerk in town kind of thing, as the word of mouth, then guess what? You're not getting any business.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so this endeavor started with a little sense of injustice and anger, and now... So how did you get your first truck?
Well, I started with $600. Okay. So I took my last check from that moving company, supposed to be like $640. So I got $600, and I started. I bought some cheap dollies and pads from Harbor Freight, and I made $10 Vistaprint business cards.
Nice.
And went and passed them out at storage facilities door to door, and I started renting U-Hauls.
Interesting.
And that's how I started my company.
That's awesome.
And that was it, with nothing, man. Out of my house in Lake Elsinore. I was blessed enough when I was working at Costco to buy a house in 2009 at the bottom of the market.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Yeah, so all I can afford on my income being 23 years old was $100,000. And in 2009, that house was $85,000 in Lakeland Village, which is, thank God, now worth like $275,000.
Yeah, if I had a time machine, I'd go right back to 2009.
Yeah, no kidding. Use that cash flow to buy a whole bunch of houses.
Oh yeah. So I love stories like that because, it's one thing when you start up a business and you got millions behind you and all that kind of thing, but it's that gritty entrepreneur story of nope, I'm betting it all on black. You know what I mean? Like I'm just going for it, and I'm either going to lose all my money or I'm going to make some money out of this. And you did it, dude.
And that mindset kind of carried through with me, man. So when I started with $600 and you grow and you grow and you grow and you grow, I've threw everything back in like hundreds of times. I've been broke.
Yeah.
Building this business, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about, all the ugly side of success in a minute, but I mean, that mindset, I'm like, well, I started with $600. So at the end of the day, what do I have to lose? The $600 I started with?
Yeah.
My last check from that shady moving company?
Yeah. You're way ahead of the game. You got nothing to lose, as we were just saying.
Yeah. Now it's a little more calculated because I got, 30 employees. It's about to be 40 when we hit the season, maybe 50, depending on how busy we get. But now I have them and their families to worry about. So I got between 100 and 150 people. So now my risks are a lot more calculated.
Yeah. It's not just you going down with the ship. It's the whole crew. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm responsible. You want to talk about the biggest stress being a business owner? It's making sure your people eat, making sure you're making payroll.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's switch gears into that ugly side of success, because we were talking about in the pre-meeting room here is that people see the trucks around, they see you at the award ceremony, they see you on social media, because you are everywhere. You're even on the Fox News a couple years back on the commercial. I was like, that son of a gun. You know what I mean? I think I took a picture. I was like,
Eating your cereal in the morning, you're like, there he is again.
There he is again. And that's the way you play the game, though. And that is phenomenal. But so it's easy for, the people in the grandstands to be like, oh, well, he's just always had it easy. He just got some moving trucks, and now he's rich. And that's how it is. So let's talk about the realities of owning a business. So what are those sleepless nights? What do they look like for you?
Well, let's go down the list. So the ugly side of success, right, which nobody talks about. Everybody talks about, like you said, the award ceremonies, the TV commercials, the trucks, the billboards, the big new buildings, which is awesome, by the way. We just got a new building. And everybody sees that, right? And of course, that's what you put on social media because that's what you portray as a company. You don't want people to see the ugly side of it, those sleepless nights where you're wondering how you're going to make payroll when your bank account's $8,000 negative, when you have an employee embezzling from you, when when you have to go to court a bunch of times over either employees or customers trying to rip you off, or you do a bad job and you make it right and the customer still doesn't think it's right. And, those sleepless nights are no joke, man. I mean, you're tired as hell. You've worked 18 hours and you're laying in bed and your mind just won't shut off.
Yeah. And
it works both ways. It's the dwelling side, which is not so much like I was telling you in the pre-meeting, but it's, and for me, it's more so the anxious side when things are going good and you're excited and the ideas and the juices are flowing. And then you're sitting there and then I get a pen and paper and I just start writing. And then finally at 3 a.m. I can go to bed and I'm back up at 6.
Yeah.
And
it's I've had many of those nights, and on the flip side, I like it when it's the creative juices that are flowing rather than the panic setting in or whatnot. But man, there's something very beautiful between that midnight and 3 a.m. range. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I think the world's quiet, the vibration and frequencies of the world are lower. And so the brain just goes, hey, guess what? We're going to think about this, and then you just run with it, and then God starts planting those seeds of ideas in your head. And it's so cool years later to see how those were birthed and how they came into reality.
Yeah, and I still have seeds that I planted 5 years ago that are coming into today. I mean, you're talking about a few years ago, you saw me around, and you're like, well, welcome to the community. Well, what I don't think and a lot of people don't know is I was kicked out of real estate offices for 9 months. Wow. And I just they kicked me out the front door, I'd go right through the back door. And I'm like, you guys aren't going to get rid of me. Yep. And I didn't get one job for 9 months, and then finally it just came like an avalanche because I did not give up.
In Psalm 37, it's one of my favorite Bible verses, but it talks about you dwell in the land and cultivate faithfulness. And that's exactly what you did. You made yourself a part of this community. You're like, I'm going to plant myself here, and guess what? I'm going to grow some branches and have some shade for you guys. And you might not see it yet, but sure enough, you're bearing fruit, man.
Yeah, and that's listen to Les Brown's The Chinese Bamboo Tree. Have you heard it?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, planting that seed and constantly watering it every day for 5 years. And seeing nothing, and then all of a sudden it grows 90 feet tall or 100 feet tall, whatever it is. And it's so true. And I mean, you just constantly have to keep working it. And you have to have integrity with it too. You can't go there with that mindset, gimme.
Yeah.
No, it's what can I do for you? Yeah. So what I did is I learned, I learned the real estate business. What are these guys doing? What can I do to help them, give them value to go help them be successful? Because you help somebody else be successful, not only are you helping the economy, the world, subconsciously they're going to end up making you successful.
Right.
If they want to or not. Now, there's some people out there that won't. Then you just don't deal with those people anymore. Hey, I help make you successful. Godspeed.
Yeah.
You know, but those people that you truly try and help, I go, are you door knocking? What are you doing? Are you making your 50 calls a day, 100 calls a day? How are your scripts? Are they down? Are they down to a T? What are you doing to further increase your business? Are you working 10, 12 hours a day instead of 6, 7?
Well, in real estate, it's an hour or two. So
Get out of here.
well, some agents it is. It's like they show up to the office, they drink some coffee, they send off an email, go, oh man, look at the time. It's lunchtime. It's happy hour.
Yeah.
Well,
Happy
that's-
I've been into some offices where they're drinking at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, cool. You can do that. I don't
Yeah.
know if the statistic has changed. I think I got this a couple years ago, but 2.2% of the agents do 36% of the business.
Wow. Yeah.
And really, coming from my company, I want that 2.2%.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with your stereotypical agent that's doing what you just said. Send out a call or do 5 calls, send out an email, go get lunch, and then go to happy hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the type of person I want to be around anyway, because you got to be around people that are going to motivate you to do better.
Right.
You know, and business wise, to bring in jobs for my company, I need to be around those top producers.
Yeah. Well, and we're very blessed and fortunate in this area that we do have a phenomenal crop of great agents in this area. And what I like about the Temecula Valley agents is that, I call it the cool kid club. We all know each other and we respect each other, but there always is that fringe element of people that are the haters, and they're just sitting there with a scowl on their face, like, looking for MLS violations, just trying to knock down people. It's like, man, get out of that negativity, because go turn that energy into business.
It's those same people that aren't doing any transactions and that
Right.
are at the bottom, right?
Right.
Because they're focusing all of their energy on what you're doing wrong instead of what they can do right.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, man, you're missing the whole point of life. You're missing the whole point of the game of business.
Yeah.
Build
something. Go.
Yeah. Build something and go help people. Don't try and knock them down. Don't try and rat them out to RESPA or the CMLS or, don't do that.
Yeah.
Focus on yourself. Build your empire. Run your race.
That's right.
LeBron James doesn't walk around with John Ruff on the back of his jersey, right?
Yeah.
Walks around with LeBron James.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
running his own race. He's living his life to his fullest.
Yep.
And I just wish more and more people in this world will do it. And unfortunately, I mean, like you said earlier, with social media, there's too many negative people out there, man.
Well, it's so easy for people to fall into that rut, and it's just sad because it's not productive, it's not profitable, it's not positive.
Yeah, and we all do sometimes, but it's the faster you snap yourself out of it, because life's going to hit you.
Yeah.
And some Murphy's Law will hit eventually, right?
Yep.
Anything bad that could possibly happen will happen.
Yep.
And
usually when you don't want it to happen.
Yeah, usually it's at the worst time too, right? But then you turn around and it's like, well, no, God's doing this at the best time because it's building you.
Yeah.
That
refiner's fire in the soul of the human is a beautiful thing. And I think a lot of people mistake that pain for punishment. And it's not necessarily punishment, but I think it's more of that refiner's fire.
Yeah.
And
growth.
that's you got to burn off all those infirmities, That's what makes the gold shine.
Yeah, exactly, man.
stuff.
I love it. You have the same mindset, John. I love it. And we got the same name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Great name.
Well, Ruff and Butler, so yeah, the Ruff Butler. We'll have to do
It sounds like a bad episode of The Bachelor.
Yeah, right. Oh, speaking of The Bachelor, my wife was all worked up, but that's another news. But yeah, man. So, what are some of the things that really inspire and motivate you to keep going? Because it is heavy is the head that wears the crown. So, what kind of keeps your head up?
My people. Seeing the 4 single moms that work for me pay their bills and feed their kids and get new cars, and see the kids that think they can't make it in this business and motivate them to do better. I'll never forget, man, one kid I have working with me, his name's Chris, and one move, he was brand new, right? A bed slate dropped and cut a TV right in half. And he goes, "Are you going to fire me?" And I'm giving him a ride home after too, mind you.
It's a long car ride.
And long car, he thinks he's going to get fired, right? I said, you know what, Chris? We all make mistakes, okay? But my big thing is, don't make the same mistake twice or over and over again. As long as you learn from it, we're good.
Yeah.
And he's one of my best employees now.
Well, yeah, you just invested $1,500 or whatever that TV was. You're like, I'm not firing you yet. I got to get that money back.
No
man.
kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I'm invested now.
Yeah. I just paid for your education. Bet you're not going to do that again.
Yeah, and you know what? He turned out to be a solid employee.
That's fantastic. And that's where grace comes in, is that we all make mistakes. We're all going to. But in those teachable moments when you can be graceful, that makes all the difference in the world. You know, if you have that hammer and axe, or you have that graceful touch, the graceful touch always goes further.
Yeah, and it's a fine line, man. It's a fine line. Shoot, I forget who said it, and it's on the tip of my tongue. That when somebody shows you who they truly are, believe them the first time. I'll remember it after this show, but it's a fine line between that and grace, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you really have to get it from your heart. Do what God's telling you. Do what is right.
Yeah.
You know, and sure, they might fool you again, but then after that, leave them alone.
Yeah.
You know, because if you keep trying and pushing what the universe is trying to do, it's going to backfire on you tenfold.
Absolutely.
You know, but you give somebody that second chance, and maybe that's all they needed.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm all about giving a hand up, baby, not a handout.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. You're really you're doing some major things in this industry locally, and then you know, you go out of state as well.
Yeah, all 48, man. Actually, I have the first international shipment we're doing being delivered to my warehouse in about 15 minutes.
Nice.
So from a freight forwarding company, and so it'll be the first international shipment. We're officially licensed to do military moving now, so we'll be bidding on contracts on Camp Pendleton and all the bases down in San Diego. So that's very exciting.
That is huge, because being so close to these military bases here in Southern California, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, man, that's because a lot of my clients are VA, so that's a phenomenal alignment for you. That's great.
Oh yeah, and those military and government contracts, you bid on them, and then they're assigned that way, and then you also can do a ditty move in the military, which they could hire me or any other company outside. Then they take the invoice, give it to the military, and they get reimbursed.
That's great.
So we've been doing those for years.
That's great.
You know, and your guys have to have that special card to go on base. And that's another thing. I do background check, drug test my guys. I offer them all health benefits, which I pay half for.
That's huge.
You know, and that's a huge part of taking care of your people. Back to what we were talking about earlier. And I mean, it's just that bar is raised, and I feel like I raised that bar so high out here that all these guys are trying to catch up now.
Yep.
And I love it.
You're an
Because it's
innovator.
doing it the right way.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's huge. And you mentioned something before the show too, is that you'll actually bill escrow.
Oh yeah.
That's huge, because you know, I'm just speaking from the agent point of view, and when a buyer or seller is going through a transaction and stuff like that, you know, all that money gets stretched real tight, especially towards the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause
they're broke
everything's-
when they're selling a home.
Oh yeah.
Usually.
But you know, once that cash hits, then they can have that payment. So that makes it so much easier. For our clients. So
Yeah, and absolutely. And escrow does have to close on or before move date. I'm not going to sit there and wait 3 months to get paid.
Yeah.
You know, but if that's the case, they don't have to have that money out of pocket. And for me, it's guaranteed money.
Yeah.
I go pick it up 1 to 3 days later. You know, check right from the escrow company.
That's huge.
You know, and what again does that do to an agent such as yourself?
Yep.
That adds value. I'm bringing value to you. That's a selling point you could use to your client.
Yep.
Just like with storage. You know, if I move somebody out of state, I give them 1 month free storage.
That's huge.
You know, and getting into the new building very soon. I'm not going to announce the date yet, but I'm going to be offering a free month of storage to everybody.
That's great.
As long as you sign up for 3 months.
Yep.
You know, and that's so I can fill that building up.
Well, and because, you know, I specialize in contingency type moves. So, you know, someone has to sell a house and then they can buy a house. Well, I found myself into like multiple contingencies where it's like 5 or 6 houses all linked together. And so the big stress point for a lot of my clients is, well, crap, my house is closing on the first day, but I have to wait 5 days for all these other houses to close, or whatever the, you know, that sequence is.
Yeah. And it's
so
a shuffle.
having that extra storage that you guys are offering, that's a big difference.
Yeah. And again, that's another selling point for an agent. And that's going to make your client over the moon happy. That's going to get you another 1 to 5 referrals. And then you're going to love me. Your client's going to love me.
Yeah.
And I'm adding value into a space, which is what it's all about, man. No matter what you do, Tony Robbins said it the best, man. You're not paid in the business environment for the value that you add, or excuse me, that you are. You're paid for the value that you add, and you have to constantly add value.
Yeah.
In everything you do.
Yeah. Well said, man. Well, any final thoughts?
Man, I'm just excited to be on the show, man. It was a long time coming. I admire what you do. I mean, you absolutely kill it. A realtor with a ton of integrity. A man of God. I love it. I love it. I mean, good company.
I appreciate that. And you got an open invite to come back anytime and talk about your adventures in entrepreneurship and moving and all that. And so, folks, if you see the black and yellow trucks out there, keep your eye out and just know that you know the owner. And if you don't know the owner, you know me and I know the owner. So, hey, let's all get to know each other. How about that?
Just say John,
Yeah.
and we'll turn our head, right?
Yeah.
And,
in a crowded room.
Look for the bald guy in the red tie out there. And from down the street to across the country, if your move's too tough, call Ruff.
Perfect.
And thanks again, man. Honored to be here.
Of course, dude. Keep up the phenomenal work. You're
You
doing
too, my
something
brother.
amazing, man. Proud
Thank
of you.
you.
And that's it for this episode of the Red Tie Community Show with John Butler, the ball guy in the red tie, and the roughest and toughest, Mr. John Ruff of Rough and Ready Moving. So make sure if you got to move, give him a call, give me a call. We'll all get on the call together.
We'll work together.
Yeah. And that's it. See you in escrow. Bye-bye. Good job, dude.
Sweet.